So we
Just
haven't
awful.
even
It's
touched on your
awful.
drug empire. We skipped straight to we skipped straight to the horrific part of the consequences. But there had to be years and years of fun, you know. How did you started out? You came to the U.S. And you ended up being a stockbroker, right? Like that was your legit job, and you were doing really well at that, like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, correct? Of legitimate money.
Within 5 years, I was grossing $500,000 in commissions.
And then you get into the rave scene and start experimenting with ecstasy.
So
go ahead.
When I was at uni, I started taking ecstasy. And before the rave scene, you know, I was too self-conscious to dance, wouldn't go up and talk to women. I had social anxiety. I almost got beat to death by some drunks when I was a teenager, which compounded my anxiety. But then when I took ecstasy, I couldn't stop dancing, wouldn't stop talking to women all night long. And it became my religion. So I told myself, you know, my goal was to become a millionaire by the time I was 30. I started to trade in the stock market at 16, started following at 14. My economics teacher was giving me classes of my own. And I did achieve that goal, but I had no common sense. I'm in my 20s, testosterone fueled, no emotional maturity, grossing $500,000 a year. I'm having to get to the office for the 6 o'clock in the morning sales meeting because we're on New York stock market hours in Arizona, getting burnt out on that business, thinking, all right, do I want to keep doing this, or should I try and make money for the party scene? And that fateful decision cost me everything.
So what was that decision like? It was just you were so addicted to maybe not the drug itself, but I'm getting pussy. I feel like I'm a cool cat now. You know, I'm not shy. I'm dancing the night away. I'm willing to roll the dice on this. You know, I'm not going to end up in prison. Not the real thing.
What took it to the next level was Wildman's first visit. So Wildman, while I was working up the ranks of stockbrokers, was in prison in the UK. Now, he was my best friend since childhood. And my goal was to get him out to America and have him channel his energy into becoming a professional wrestler. This is how idealistic I was. So, so I rented him a house by the Georgian Dragon British pub in Central Phoenix, thinking he'll just go to the pub while I'm at work, chill with the expats, have a beer, and nothing bad will happen. Now, within a couple of months, me and my girlfriend show up at Wildman's place, and a bunch of Mexicans answer the door. I'm like, where's Peter? They're like, Peter? Yeah, Peter, he lives here. No, we didn't order pizza. No, not pizza. Peter, where's Peter? And then they all pull guns out, and me and my girlfriend like start backtracking across the road. And then Wildman just bounces over the road, all smiles. I'm like, we just nearly got shot. What's going on with your place? He says, they are the local crack dealers. The guy at the back, he's from Colombia. He's running the crew of Mexicans. They like to move around a lot, so I've rented them the place. They're buzzing because I can do $100 crack rock in one breath. They love it when I do that. And
so do I.
They're giving me all this crack for free. And I'm just living at their place over the street right now. They like to move around. So Wildman, wherever he went, he took control of the street people, and he just started to do endless amounts of crack and crystal meth. he would smoke it nonstop, and he would stay up for 2 weeks at a time. He would go off on a walk for like 2 or 3 days. We didn't know where he was, and he'd come back with holes in his shoes and his feet all bleeding. He got hospitalized. I mean, it was so hot out there in Arizona. He got hospitalized. His heart, something happened with his heart. So we went to visit him in the hospital, and they got all these sensors on him and the monitors and shit. And he says, look, this thing happened to my heart. I was dehydrated, blah, blah, blah. Give me an ecstasy pill. I gave him an ecstasy pill. I thought he was just going to take it when he got out to celebrate. And he popped it up right there in the hospital. All the things start beeping and shit. So we all run out of that place. And Wildman's apartment, that one I got him, didn't last very long. A guy came over to buy drugs from the Mexicans. Wildman had never seen guns before. The guy started to demonstrate his gun to Wildman and shot himself in the head and killed himself. And that place ended with a corpse on the doorstep. And, the cops coming out and everything. So Wildman then moved over to a place on the west side.
Your stories escalate quickly.
This is a good-ass story.
So we went to McDonald's, and then an asteroid hit the building, and everyone exploded.
At least Wildman lasted a few months at that first place. He only lasts a few days at the next. So he moves in with 2 women and a bouncer from a club on Van Buren. This guy's a steroid head, disco dancing cowboy with permed hair, claiming he's a member of the Gangster Disciples. And it was the girls who had Wildman move in over there because they were behind on the rent. So I cut a check to the office. Wildman moves in. But I knew Gangster Disciple guy was going to be a problem. So within days, I get a call from the office saying that Wildman's roommate has been attacked by Wildman and he needs to move out. He's getting evicted. I said, well, how do you know Wildman's roommate has been attacked? I mean, what proof do you have of this? And she said that the Gangster Disciple dude was seen fleeing from the apartment in the middle of the night by the neighbors with plasterboard dust all over his head and face. And there were multiple holes in the walls.
He didn't put his head through the wall.
Fortunately, he did this so fast, I was able to stop the check. They hadn't even cashed the check. So the girls that he was living with said, look, we know another apartment that's behind on the rent over in Tempe, Arizona. And this now
Let's roll
was
the dice
beginning.
with this guy again.
This now was the beginning of the criminal enterprise. So he moves over to Tempe, Arizona. This is party town now, and we're partying there every weekend, and we're getting like up to 50 to 100 pills from the local dealers. That's all we could get. I'm just showing off, My ego's as big as the Grand Canyon, making more money than I've got common sense. I'm in my 20s, giving pills away for free. When you give drugs away for free, you attract a lot of friends. So now I'm starting to see the business potential of it. So Acid Joey, he's dead now. Most of my male friends from back then are dead now. He was found dead in his swimming pool with his clothes on. God rest his soul. So Acid Joey, he was our supplier back then, local supplier. And he found out that the local middleman was getting the pills out of LA. So I set a deal up to go out to buy 1,000 pills. Now, 2 carloads of us went out there. I've got me and Wildman in one car. I've got another huge guy called Seth. He's also dead now. And Acid Joey in that car. And we drive out there. I've got, the money to buy 1,000 pills, 10 plus K, whatever it was. But we're waiting for hours outside this guy's house in West Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And the tension's rising. Wildman's like, when he shows up, I'm just going to go in and take his fucking pills. He's kept us waiting for so long. I'm like, well, if you do that,
is rapidly turning into a robbery. Okay.
If you do that, how are we going to have a regular supply, man? Just chill. But if I don't come out of here in 15 minutes, then steam in. So eventually he shows up. I go in. I don't know if you've seen that movie Point Break, but they were like these. Saul was the dealer, and he had all these surfer gangster dudes straight out of Point Break in there. I'm thinking, am I going to get jacked? Are the cops watching these guys? So I'm quite nervous. I've got all this money on me. I say, all right, I've got the bills. Where's the pills? He goes in the back room. I'm thinking, is he going to come out with a gun, just take this money off me? There's nothing I can do, pretty much. He comes out with the biggest bag of pills I've ever seen in my life, like mid-species. So I say, all right, before we do this deal, is it okay if I try one? He goes, yeah, sure. So he gives me a pill and I put it in my mouth. He goes, do you want a drink with that? A chaser? I said, no, I'm just going to chew it to see what it tastes like. Because over the years, I'd learned what a good pill tastes like. A good pill should be 100, 125 milligrams of MDMA and clay. So I'm chewing this pill. He's looking at me like I'm crazy because I'm just chewing a raw pill. And it tasted like the real thing. So I did the deal, left, go back to Wildman's new place in Tempe, Arizona. And within a weekend, they were gone. So that was it then. I'm thinking, right, the business experiment has succeeded. I no longer need to be a stockbroker. There's an arbitrage opportunity here. These pills are going for $25 to $30 in the clubs.
That was going to be my question. You took that bag of pills, and how much money did you pay for them, and how much did you turn that into?
I think that first transaction probably about $12 a pill, which slowly went down over time until at the peak of it, I've got about 200 people working for me, and I'm getting them out of Holland for like $2 or $3 a pill,
Yeah.
bringing in like
Wow.
30,000-40,000 at a time.
How long did it take you to get through 30,000-40,000 pills?
Oh, this is over the years. So Sammy the Bull moved in towards the end of things when things started.
Loving the
getting dark.
nicknames. This is great. Yeah.
That guy's famous. I know.
I got in with the locals in about 96, 97 when I was just raving with them. So the locals would come up to me with their projects, their party ideas. Their nickname for me was the Bank of England, and they would ask me to invest in their party ideas. Now, over time, what I did was all these little cliques that were throwing the parties were competing. I unified all those little cliques and incorporated them into my enterprise, and it was structured like a corporation. So we've got a head of every faction, and then there's crime family dinner every month for the heads of the factions. And people say, all right, they're going for 25, 30. You're getting them for $2 or $3. That's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was Unilad or Lead Bible. They did like a graph, and they made an error on it as well. So I'll correct that for you guys. So if I'm getting them at 3,
mm-hmm.
I'm giving them to my head of a faction, maybe 5,000 at a time on credit at $10 a pill. And then he's giving them to his middle guy at 15, 20, and they're getting sold on the streets, on the clubs, 25 to 30. So my profit might just be $7 on 40,000, but it's still $250,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. Jeez. What was the fun of it? I'm sure at the beginning, like you said, you're bullheaded, you're young, nothing can take you down. Was the just amount of fun you were having pushing down all the stress? Because like I'm a very high stress person. I can't imagine having a fucking ecstasy drug empire under me. Like, were you just always running through your thoughts like, oh my God, what if one guy flips and then it leads to this and then back to me and then I'm fucked? Like, were you constantly paranoid or just so wrapped up?
Okay. This journey, as you'll see with all journeys of people getting into the drugs game, has a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
The beginning is the fun, the glitz, the glamour. I'm throwing parties for up to 10,000 people out in the desert, got 4 stages, got DJs flown in from around the world, got my bouncers running around, armed to the teeth. I'm the man now. I'm Mr. Cool Guy. Women coming up, ravers, striptease dancers coming up all night long, thanking me for the pills. Guys coming up, giving me hugs, thanking me for the party. And that is just one big ego feed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, my ego was as big as the Grand Canyon. But yeah, that was motivating me to keep doing it. The amount of, knocky you get.